Have you ever felt like you should be pulling those crazy 12-hour workdays to get ahead, but you just can't? You just can't focus? Well, what if I told you the answer isn't about more discipline or more coffee? What if it's about understanding what phase of life you're in right now? We're going to dig into this because this whole idea really flips the script on productivity. The big takeaway is that those intense, super-focused workdays, they shouldn't feel like a grind. They should feel natural, kind of like binge watching your favorite show.
So let's just kick things off with a pretty wild idea. We're told over and over that consistency is the absolute key to success, right? Show up every day, do the work. But what if its main job isn't what we think it is? This quote here suggests that the real, game-changing breakthroughs, they don't come from that steady, daily grind. They actually come from something else entirely.
Okay, so let's look at the difference. On one side, you've got the typical hustle culture advice. Grind constantly, make slow and steady progress, and whatever you do, avoid burnout. But this new model, it looks at progress more like seasons, or think about it like an athlete's training schedule. You have these intense periods of effort, these big pushes, which are then followed by periods of just maintaining. So it's not about avoiding burnout, it's about using these intense cycles to your advantage.
And that leads us right into the core framework for all of this, the 4 cycles of progress. The best way to think about these is like chapters in your own story, and figuring out which chapter you're in right now, well, that's the absolute key to unlocking your focus and actually making some real leaps towards your goals.
First up is perplexity. This is that lost phase, and honestly, this is where most of us get stuck. You just don't have a clear goal that's really yours. So of course you can't work for 12 hours straight. You have nothing meaningful to actually work on. You feel confused, you feel kind of aimless, and you end up numbing that feeling with endless distractions. Sound familiar? So how do you get out of being lost? Through curiosity. This is the fun part, the exploring phase. You actually let yourself get bored, and that boredom starts to spark questions. You start noticing problems you genuinely want to solve, and you just try a bunch of different things to see what clicks. You know, that shiny object syndrome that everyone tells you is so bad? In this phase, it's actually a really good thing.
And all of that exploration, all that trial and error, it eventually leads you here, to intensity. This is the climax of your story. We're talking about a 3 to 6 month period of pure, unadulterated flow state. You finally found that one meaningful goal, and you become completely obsessed with it. This is when those 12-hour days just happen. They feel effortless because you're so locked in on building something you deeply, truly care about.
Now, after that massive sprint, you shift into the consistency phase. That intense work has literally launched you to a new, higher baseline. Maybe it's a new skill level, a higher income, better fitness, whatever. Now, the goal isn't to make another massive leap. It's to hold on to the progress you've made while you kind of lightly experiment in the background to find what your next season of intensity is going to be. So let's just recap the flow here. You move from feeling lost and confused in perplexity to exploring all kinds of ideas and curiosity. That leads you to execute in a huge burst of intensity. And then finally, you solidify all those gains in consistency. This cycle, going through these phases, is how you make massive, nonlinear progress in your life.
Okay, let's zoom in on that intensity phase for a minute, because this is really where the magic happens. This is where the biggest breakthroughs, the most significant progress, actually occurs. This is where you create what are called exponential events, those huge leaps forward that completely redefine what's possible for you.
To really get this, just think about a bodybuilder. They don't just go to the gym and lift the exact same weight every single day for 10 years, right? No way. They have a bulking season to build mass, then a cutting season to get lean and defined. Your life, your career, your skills, they all work the same way. These seasons of intensity are your growth spurts. And here is such a crucial point. The goal isn't to live in that peak intensity state forever. I mean, nobody can do that. It's impossible. The real goal is to use those intense periods to raise your entire baseline. You're trying to make your worst days, your lows, better than they used to be. It's about achieving higher lows, not just chasing constant higher highs.
Okay, but what if you're listening to this and thinking, yep, I'm stuck. I'm in that first lost phase. How do you even begin to find the clarity you need to get to that season of intensity? Well, let's break down exactly what's holding you back so you can finally take that first step.
So let's just ask the tough question head on. Why can't you focus? It's not because you're lazy or you lack willpower. I mean, think about it. You can probably focus for hours on a video game, or scrolling social media, or a great movie. The real problem is that your mind, your life, and your priorities are just a mess. The big idea here is that your inability to focus usually boils down to 4 major blockers. First, you've got the purpose blocker. You just don't have a clear personal goal. Then there's the environmental blocker. Your space is literally filled with distractions. Third is the metabolism blocker. Your health and energy are just too low. And fourth is the knowledge blocker. You don't even know what the next step is. For now, let's just dig into the first two, because they are the foundation.
First up, the purpose blocker. You feel lost because you're chasing goals that society handed to you. You know the ones: get the degree, get the good job, buy the house, retire. But deep down, you don't actually care about them. You're bored because the path isn't yours. And you fill that boredom with cheap pleasure instead of taking the time to build your own vision.
Next is the environmental blocker. This one is so simple, but it is incredibly powerful. Your surroundings literally create who you are. If your phone, your computer, and your physical room are all cluttered with distractions, other people's opinions, and constant notifications, isn't any wonder you can't focus. The solution? You have to be ruthless. Just remove anything and everything that isn't important.
So how do we actually fix this? Specifically, how do you get past those purpose and environmental blockers? Well, it all starts with a simple plan, a mantra really. Think bigger to find your direction and act smaller to clear the path. Let's dive into the action plan.
Here it is, a clear 3-step process to build that clarity you're missing. Step 1, define your anti-vision. Write down everything you hate about your current situation, everything you want to get away from. That's going to create urgency. Step 2, define your vision. Write down everything you want to move towards. This creates your motivation. And then step 3, you reverse engineer that vision. Break it all the way down into what you need to do this year, this month, this week, and most importantly, today.
And this is such a brilliant way to think about it. Your big, crazy 10-year vision, it's not supposed to be a daily to-do list that overwhelms you. It's there to be your North Star, to give you motivation. And those tiny, daily goals, they aren't supposed to feel insignificant. They're there to give you crystal clear clarity and a concrete path for what to do right now.
And ultimately, it all comes down to this. You know, we always hear that saying, it's about the journey, not the destination. But the truth is, without the right destination, you're on the wrong journey entirely. Having that clear vision, that destination, is what gives the daily grind its meaning and ensures that all your hard work is actually taking you where you want to go. So, as we wrap this up, I'll just leave you with one question to think about. Looking at these 4 phases, perplexity, curiosity, intensity, and consistency, which one are you in right now? And based on that, what's your next move?